You know, when the world thinks of Memphis, Tennessee, some very iconic images immediately come to mind. And I'll name two of our top draws, really, food and music. All right, I think there's nobody that would argue with that. And let me throw out a few names that I'm sure that pop into people's head. We got Bill Street, Graceland, Sun Studios, of course, Stax Music. These are all known around the world. But Memphis and the Mid-South is much, much more than that, as most of us know. When it comes to experiences, I think that list grows even longer. And one that is near and dear to many of our hearts is the Overton Park Shell. Now, that's not something that may just fly off the top of your head when you're listing destinations, but I feel like it should be. And we're going to dive into exactly why that is. And I got to tell you, as I was looking into this and looking forward to this conversation today, the Overton Park Shell is not just historic, but it's futuristic. All right, so what does that mean? We're about to tell you. All right, folks, welcome to this episode of The Current Temp. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you, as always, to Lexus of Memphis, our sponsor and partner. They do a phenomenal job, and we are such believers in our partners. And I'm going to give you some information. If you're interested in being a partner or a sponsor, we're going to give you some information at the end of this because we're opening that up for the first time to applications. If you're like-minded, like us here on The Current Tip, more about that later. Right now, let me introduce my guest, Natalie Wilson. Natalie Wilson of the Overton Park Shell. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to have a good conversation. Let me brag on you for just a moment. You've worked with the Girl Scouts, the Boys and Girls Club, Shelby Farms Park. You just really glowingly told me how you're a country girl who likes being outside. You like celebrating the outdoors, and man, what a great venue to do that in. What drew you to that shell?
It has been one of those things in my life through the years of sitting on that lawn and looking at that music and thinking, this is my space. It's free of charge. It's here in our urban core, and I can come here without any reservations. It's free for me. I would come and enjoy the music of the Shell. And in 2018, when they were looking for its new leader, reached out with conversations with their board, and I said, well, my beloved Shelby Farms Park, where I had been for many, many years, it was time to come into a new chapter for the Shell.
What a perfect fit. So how long have you been there? When did you come on board?
7 years in January of this year, and it's been an incredible ride.
Well, let's do this. So I was doing a little bit of research because I've been around the Shell my whole life, and I'm going to talk about that, but I was like, what do I really know about it? Amazingly, this was built in the 1930s.
Yes.
And it was done all over the country.
38 of us.
38, but there's only a few left, correct?
Only a handful left.
Right. This is like when the Summer Drive-In was one of the few remaining drive-ins in the nation.
That's right.
The Overton Park Shell, and it's a really amazing acoustical setup.
Yeah.
One of the few remaining of its time, and we're getting close to 100 years. In fact, we're about to celebrate 90th birthday.
That's right.
Tell me a little bit about how it got there.
That is one of my favorite things to talk about the history because it's unbelievable. Here we were in the Great Depression in the 30s, and the country was hungry. The country was completely divided. People were committing suicide. Mental health was at a rampant. People were very disillusioned with the government. And government at that time, Roosevelt had a vision that he would put people back to work with the WPA administration. So he said, let's put people back to work for iconic public spaces. But what if we also give 38 cities the same band shell design, intrinsic design is the same, that can be a space that can bring people together to build community. So for our shell, it was $14,000 to build it. They started construction in 1932, and it was not opened until September 13th of 1936. Mayor Overton, who was the mayor of Memphis, said from that stage at 2 p.m. that day on September 13th, I pledge this stage to the future of Memphis music. How just as relevant today as it was in 1936. At that time in 1936, it was called the Operetta Shell at Overton Park. There was the Memphis Open Air Theater inside of it. So the Moat, which is what many Memphians at the time called it, knew it as chamber music and theater productions, Rodgers and Hammerstein.
Yeah, this picture alone has settings like you're at a stage.
It had benches. It was this stage that was really more for theater. We have a basement, by the way.
Oh.
If you're ever interested in the basement, what it is. The
cool.
basement is full of where the living quarters for the artists that would stay, the theater productions.
Really?
They would stay in the basement. They would tour. So it went through many, many years. But then, of course, the end of the war, and change was happening in the country. And so the evolution, the next phase, it came to be known as the Overton Park Shell around 1944. And it really was, that was also about the year, a couple of years later was the Memphis Symphony Orchestra. Our beloved partnership started with there. Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
And so it was, the evolution of the decades of how it was used kept changing. But it started very meagerly in 1936, and there was about 2,000 people who crowded together on the lawn who said, wow, this is our space. And I love this today. One of the traditions is they passed a hat in 1936.
Okay.
We passed the bucket today.
All right.
And it's a historic moment. It's a piece to the history.
How do we who funds it? How do we support it?
It is a completely self-funded 501c3 charitable organization. We're owned by the city of Memphis. It's a public-private partnership, but we completely sustain it by ourselves privately. Individual donors, people who join our Shell Circle, to corporate sponsors who believe in bringing their logo and their brand to us and our hospitality experiences, to grants. And then we do now have some earned revenue with ticketed events that help propel our mission and keep it free, or renting the Shell. Shell's open for all types of
so somebody can rent it out.
Yes.
So we've got free shows.
Weddings?
We've got weddings. You've got ticketed shows. You can do events there. And let me add this as well, as we're showing these photos. As I was going through the photos of this, I was just remembering so many things. I used to live in Midtown. Overton Park itself. Let's not undersell the magic of that park.
Wow.
And it's unique in the nation.
Oh.
It's unique nationally.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people don't know that I-40 was supposed to cut right across it.
And you want me to tell you the story of that?
Yeah.
So it was definitely, I-40 was coming in, and there was so much protest against that. But Thomas Boggs, the founder of Huey's, the part of the box top, said, no, I'm going to stage a protest. So in 1968, he chained himself to the Shell for 48 hours, had a rave.
I did not know
had
that.
music and a huge party for 48 hours for the media to see him chained. And he said, you will never take this stage down and come through this park.
Wow.
This is too important to the future of our city, this park. So that 342 acres is beloved, and it also has one of the few remaining old grove forests in the country, right here in our urban core.
It's amazing. And that's why I point that out, because not only is the Shell unique, and it's been there since the 30s,
Right.
It's nestled in the heart of Overton Park, which, if you haven't explored it, is pretty astounding. Just as you enter it, you've got the Brooks Museum there.
Yeah.
Then you've got the Shell on the backside. Then you've got a space that kind of feels like Central Park in New York.
Absolutely.
And then you've got the Memphis Zoo, and then all the forestry. It's really astounding.
And the
golf
new
course.
Meadow Museum that is coming in, that is opening in September.
Now, where is that going to be?
So the Memphis College of Art closed in 2000, and that beautiful rust hall sitting right beside the Shell has been revisioning what it could be, reimagining that space. And thanks to the Ornamental Meadow Museum, the leadership of Carissa Husong said, what if we brought it back to life and move the educational campus of the Meadow Museum right beside
When
the
are they
Shell?
doing that?
We will open it in September. The grand opening.
I did not know that, and I will tell you, I have always wanted to go down to that museum. I know exactly where it is. I used to work at a TV station nearby.
Right.
I still never made the trek, so to put it there is fantastic.
It's fantastic.
What a great get.
So, and that goes back to, it is Memphis's Central Park, but if all these historic nonprofits, the Memphis Zoo is celebrating a milestone this year, and Overton Park is 125 years, and the Shell is 90 years. What if we imagine all these spaces as one, as you said, the heart of the park, but of heart of Memphis.
I agree.
We are Memphis's true Central Park. We are the true urban park of the city. And I think in 1936, when they opened the Shell, there was a vision much deeper than where we were in 1936. The vision was for where we are today. That Mayor Overton saw that vision and said, this is going to be iconically as important to it is today, 90 years in the future. He saw that vision. You see it in the proclamation. And so for me to be its leader in this chapter, I'm honored because it's more than just about a music venue.
Yeah.
It's more about just grass on a lawn and people come to hear music. It's about a space that all walks of life feel comfortable to come together, and they come together unified by the power of music and food.
It is remarkable. And, to me, when I think about it and its location and its history, when I lived in Midtown for many years, as I was working my way through college, one of the things I enjoyed about Midtown was it has a very organic, grungy, hippie, very earthy vibe, and that's who lives there.
Yeah.
It's very artsy,
Yes.
which is really good if you're a creative type person.
Absolutely.
Right? And I did love that, and it still holds true today. If you want to drive down there, go park and walk through the grass and enjoy one of the trails. And a lot of people don't know this story. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. I was in TV in '94 when the ice storm hit, 1994, and it was devastating. But after the ice storm, that's when they decided we're closing off the driving paths through Overton Park. You used to be able to drive through those.
Yeah.
So many trees and limbs came down. They decided we're going to close these off and make them walking paths. So prior to Ice Storm 94, you drove those roads.
Right.
Then they just closed them off and said, let's make them bike and walk paths. And I mean, they've just done an astounding job.
It's beautiful.
I really feel like it's been kept up recently really well. I just actually did one of our episodes and we drove over there with a tour guide and checked it out. I was really impressed with the grounds, the space, the upkeep. You have put a lot of work into that.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking when you go to a iconic historic space and it's just because of funds, because of whatever, it's neglected. That's not the case. You guys have done a lot.
Well, and I'll tell you, that's back to Memphis too.
38, the city, you mean?
Yes, 38 cities across the country had shells. We're only a handful of us left. I think there's only 3 of us programming in the country.
Is that right?
Still alive and programming. And Memphis has saved it. And I love to tell the story of some of the artists that came here and got their start. People wouldn't even believe.
I went down the list of who's played there. I thought I knew. No. And of course, I don't have the picture of Elvis. Elvis played there. It was a big moment for him.
Well, you need to see our museum in the backstage because we have pictures in our museum. We have a backstage museum now that no one sees.
When is it open?
It's open 7 days a week.
What are the hours?
By appointment, you just come. We do a 10 a.m., a noon, 2, and a 5 p.m. public tour, but we customize anytime.
Okay, I'm asking you questions I didn't prepare you for. The names, it boggled my mind when I was going to your site and reading, and I did a little bit of research, names I wasn't expecting.
Oh, I know.
All over the board.
I say it every day. You telling me that they played, 1954, it was July 30th, and 18-year-old Elvis Presley was having to open for a yodeler the name of Slim Whitman, knew nothing about publicly performing. He had only performed at his church.
Right.
His parents were on the lawn. He was terrified. He was pushed out as an opener. 6,000 people were there to see a country show. And here's this guy with hot pink pants on and racing striped socks and this beautiful hair and he just stood there and he forgot his lyrics and his name was spelled as Ellis Presley in the playbill. And he forgot his lyrics, so he was just got to do something. So he started to gyrate, and the women went wild. And it was said in history, a star was born at the Overton Park Shell on that concert. That's just many stories of the start of some of a century of music from that stage.
One of the things I love,
and free of charge.
Listen, and one of the things I think that gets lost, and we had a conversation with a gentleman earlier today, is how in today's space and time, social media, which I have a lot of issues with.
Right.
We have lost the ability to gather together. We've lost that magic of being in a space together, interacting, breathing, talking, laughing, or under a starry sky, listening to music. It's really experiential, and we're losing those experiences. And so I just want to make sure I am emphasizing this is still alive and vibrant. There are constant shows. It can be rented out. You're talking about this super nice venue with a gorgeous backdrop. You can have the stars overhead. If you have a weatherman you can trust. It's hard to find these days. But if you're outdoors and it's got
only one weatherman.
That's right. But if you've got great conditions, what a magical thing that is still alive. And like you said, not many of them in this space.
Yeah.
Before we jump into what's coming up next, what would you say to someone to encourage them? Like you just mentioned the museum. If something pops into somebody's head, okay, there may not be a show right now. I want to see what it's all about. What would you suggest?
Well, when I took over the Shell, when for the first 10 years of its history as a nonprofit, 2008 to 18, I came in 19 and we had to reimagine ourselves because after 19 we went right into a pandemic, a global pandemic.
Right.
We had to reimagine, we had to survive. We were 19 months dark. So it gave us an opportunity to reimagine, to vision, to think through how we could take some risk and think outside of our box. So we could create a program. While a free concert series is iconic to our mission, but we had opportunity to do even more with that space. And so we have 5 programs now.
Okay.
So 7 days a week, 365 days a year, something is pretty much going on at the Shell.
Okay.
There's opportunity. So our free concert series goes through the spring, summer, and the fall months. And then we have our Backstage Experience Museum, which is all the time. We see tourists and locals around the world. Thousands come to us every year. And then we have our something that happened during the pandemic but is stuck and people love is our health and wellness programming.
Okay.
We do free classes from yoga to Pilates to boot camps to nutrition classes, you name it. We have in our free our health and wellness
great.
program in partnership with Baptist
Okay.
that we have. We do ticketed shows where we can take inside locations to, if we need to bring music to people inside, or we bring them out to the Shell. And then, of course, we created Shell on Wheels.
Okay, that's a great kickoff point. First of all, I want to make sure we're pointing out this year is the 90th anniversary,
Yeah. Yes.
right? So we've got a
Yes.
90th year celebration. What are some things that we're looking forward to for the 90th celebration?
Well, something that we wanted to be true to was to talk about the history and where we are today, but also what the future vision is.
Right.
So all this ties together to the 90th year.
Okay.
We wanted to have a celebration that could tie to all those things at one time. So it's a year-long celebration. We will announce next week the historic series, which will be some historic concerts of the past that played the stage that we'll announce next week in a series that will be inside our free shows.
So is that going to be a recreation of those shows?
Yes. So
Okay.
I'll give you an example of one. May 9th, 1971, Allman Brothers played the Shell.
The Allman Brothers, right.
And that set list we are recreating on May 9th, 2026.
You're going to recreate the Allman Brothers show.
That entire show in that set list using Memphis musicians. It's
Okay,
very
what-
unique.
May 9th.
That's May 9th. It's
Okay.
free,
So-
just as it was.
That's free.
Yep.
All right. So I'm throwing all this data up on the screen behind us. So September 11th through the 13th is the kind of the epicenter of this.
It is.
Correct?
The entire, so our official birthday was September 13th, 1936 is when we started. So we say from September 10th through the 13th, we're going to do 4 days of celebration around access to the stage, around history that meant something to each one of us differently, but also the future, what we see this stage will be. With the support of Memphians, we will still be here another 90 years. That is an incredible opportunity.
Listen, I go back to what I said before, historic and futuristic. All right, speaking of that,
Yeah.
I want everybody to check out this video that I've got on stage. On the screen. This blew my mind. This is called Shell on Wheels, which is a phenomenal name. And what you're looking at, and I'm going to just tell you my version, and then you can explain it. It looks to me like what you've done is created a mobile version of the Shell that you can take places, set it up. You've got the Shell look, the whole feel, and people can get in front of it, and you can do programs, music, whatever on top of that, and take it to people. Is that what this is? That's amazing.
Well, you want to know the backstory?
Yeah.
So on September 1st, 2020, it was 901 Day. That is a celebration of our city, right? We were in the middle of the pandemic still, and I remember I always go to work early. It was 7 a.m., and I'm driving in Overton Park. There's hundreds of cars parked all over the streets. And I'm like, what is going on? And I realize they're all at the Shell. So I go and park in the dock. I go around, and there are literally hundreds of masked people on the stage, on the lawn, just staring at the stage. And I thought, what is this? I go around the corner and see graffiti after graffiti all over my band Shell. This beautiful space that was barely able to survive at that point. I mean, we really almost were almost not making it. But it was full of graffiti, of horrible messages, of divide, of anger, of hate, of hostility.
On the band Shell.
On the band Shell. And I remember just looking there. And of course, the media was all there already. And it had happened to Graceland and some of the I Love Memphis murals in the Shell.
I remember this.
So it was a statement. Yeah. And so, of course, I knew that no one was wanting to speak about it. And Graceland wasn't going to speak, understandably. But I felt, as a 501c3 charitable organization, who's everyone's organization, a stage owned by us all, I was going to speak to the media. And I wanted to say, while I couldn't condone the defacing of my beautiful band shell, but I'm choosing, as the director of the Shell, to focus on the messages on that stage. That the messages were telling me some assumptions I was making of our impact and our access to people were not feeling that ability to find us all the time. There was lacking access because people didn't know about us. You know, there was a message on there I'll never forget. It said, "This music isn't for me." And I remember thinking through that whole situation I remember taking a list of everything I was seeing there. And I told the board that day, we had a board meeting the next week, and I said, we're not going to throw thousands of dollars of marketing to communities that cannot take our bus system and get here because there's no access. We're going to take our mission intentionally to people where they are, and we're going to create Shell on Wheels. And so it really is it's a mobile replica. However, when's the last time you've ever seen a replica of a stage that has the sound, lighting, and power inside of it, and it just rolls around and it creates the magic we do in Overton Park?
It's just astounding.
It is exactly what you do in Overton Park.
Well, when I looked at it, I thought, I could see myself sitting in front of that and enjoying whatever you're doing up there.
It's so special.
And so you can take that anywhere.
Yes, and it's exactly half the size of the Shell, the big stage.
Right?
The thing about it is it's not just a stage. I want it to be a mobile performance venue. So if you go to a blighted neighborhood and they do not have access to Wi-Fi or power or the basic needs to create a wonderful block party, imagine we bring the power for their food trucks, we bring battery to run the stage, and everything is contained.
Everything
and
works
they
off
don't
of
need any. We don't ask them for anything. We bring it all.
Shell on Wheels. All right. Of course, I had to put this painting up. This is by my lovely wife. The Shell is very important to us, and so I just wanted to throw that in there. So let's wrap up with this. If you want to hear more, and this is what I would suggest, okay, because I clicked on it just to get through some research and found myself going down that rabbit hole, and it was wonderful. Yeah, okay. You go to overtonparkshell.org. What I would suggest is check out the event calendar because there's a lot going on, but you just kind of blew my mind about things like you can rent it out as a wedding venue. I mean,
we have 4 weddings this year.
I just think
so
what
exciting.
A great idea. Mm-hmm. It's so nice to just go out. It's very peaceful, even when there's nothing going on.
Right.
To just sit out there, take a seat. Do you encourage that? Is that okay?
Oh, 7 days a week we want people to come because our museum is open. So we want people to feel it's a piece of heaven when they just want to park and sit there on the lawn with their family. Even if we're not programming, it's open for all.
It's so nice.
It's positive and accessible.
Trees around you. The park
Beautiful.
Is around you. Any closing thoughts from you?
No, I think in this year of our 90th celebration, we want the Shell to realize that people who love it to say, if you love it, support it. Yeah. If you want it to stay, we need your support. And also, in a time that we're divided, think about ways that we can come together. And if the Shell is a positive way that you feel comfortable to come together, then use it. Use our concerts because we're going to be here to bring joy.
I'm telling you, having been there over the years at different points when there has been an event, it is a special feeling. If you've ever been to an outdoor concert at all, you kind of know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you need to experience that because it's an entirely new situation. And you can be on the grass. You can be in one of the little seating areas. There's different options there. But, hey, friends, check out overtonparkshell.org. When you do, in your head, think of Natalie and all her and her team are doing to make that happen. And thank you to Memphis. And really, I love Midtown. I know Midtown is a big supporter of that as well. Yeah. So let's support these hidden treasures. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you.
All right, friends, listen. The Current Temp, as I mentioned, we are accepting sponsor applications. We're already having some conversations with great people out there. If you've got a group, organization, or an event that you think aligns with us and you know what we're about, if you've been watching, we'd love to hear from you. It's real easy to get in touch with us. You can email us, thecurrenttemp@gmail.com. And, of course, you can watch these shows. We've gone back now. I mean, we've been doing this for over a year, so we've got a lot of good shows. You can watch them on my Facebook business page, on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, The Current Temp, or on Spotify. And we will, we are thrilled to do this because we have guests like Natalie, and we're able to talk about things like the Overton Park Shell. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, and you guys have a great week.